Good morning. Good morning. Happy Monday to you, folks. October 18, 2022. 2021. I'm already living in the future. Woo! 5:56 a.m. I'm back in Tennessee after a long road trip. In the speaking world, we call them a swing. Swing through LA to Jackson Hole, Wyoming. It was a long swing, Coach Mel B. I've been out there on the West Coast. I've been out there in Jackson Hole, Wyoming. And now I'm back Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday of this week, good morning, until heading out to Orlando, Florida on Wednesday night. Going to do an event with Lou Holtz on Thursday morning for fine folks at Exit. And then I'm going to head to Seaside for the Living with the Monster Couples Retreat. So, we got another big week, man. And there's not a lot of rest for the weary, folks. This is how you get up and do it every single day. If there's anything that you learn from me, man, it's instilling a work ethic. Instilling a work ethic in you to get up and go get it. To get up and pursue your potential. Right, Mary Lee? To get up and go get your potential every single day, man. And never underestimate the need to reactivate and activate that prey drive. Okay? Right, Eric Tibbs. Beautiful place out there in Jackson Hole. I was coaching most of the time, so I didn't get to see a lot of it. But I did get to look out my window, and it sure was beautiful. Now, I got a good message for you this morning. Every day that I'm in town, I try to bring you a rhythm, a drive, something that also goes to my YouTube channel. So if you happen to miss it, you can go to YouTube and get it. Good morning, Brian White. Today I want to talk about something I learned from my mentor, Dr. Stephen Covey. And this is so critical. Christopher, this is so critical what I'm about to tell you. Covey used to say between stimulus and response is a space, and in that space lies our ability to choose our response. We cannot control the stimulus. We can only control the response to the stimulus, which means two things. One, it means between thinking and doing is a space. Okay? Between thinking, I have a thought, that's a stimulus. Typically triggered by something else, John Hart. I have a thought, that is an activation of something, and between thinking and doing is a space, and in that space, Kimberly Skinner, in that space is our ability to choose our response. I.e., do we take an action? Do we not take an action? Do we have a consideration? Do we have a fear? Do we start letting our mind tell us it'll take too long, it'll be too hard, it'll cost too much? Why even attempt it? Nobody cares. Like we have all these thoughts. Okay? And my thought is you can help 10,000 people in a day, and one person be negative toward you or say something about you, Andrew, and that's the only thing the brain will focus on, man. That's why the brain is both a genius and it's man, it can cause you a tremendous amount of pain. So between thinking and doing is a space, and in that space lies our ability to choose our response. Big time people taking action. I talk about this in a new book, Flip the Switch. You can get on Amazon right now. It's coming out next year. Between thinking, this is what I want to do, and actually doing it is a space. In that space is a lot of damn work. Okay, you got to have thoughts, you got to write them down, you got to get people on board, you got to, man, it's just incredibly difficult. So, most people just don't do it, Carla. They just think about it. They think about what they're going to do with their life. They spend a lot of time thinking and very little time doing, at least at a very high level. And so, that's one way to look at stimulus and response. The other way to look at stimulus and response is between how someone treats you and your response back to them. Okay? Between the stimulus that happens in the world. Okay? Between how people treat you and your ability to take a deep breath and understand some core principles. Hurt people. Okay? Typically when people lash out at you because they got some deep emotional anger towards somebody, you just happen to be the recipient of it that day, Chris. So, in the old days, people would lash out at me. I would lash back back out at them and get defensive. In the new days, number one, I do realize between what happens to you and your response to what happens to you is a space, and in that space lies your ability to choose your response. Just because another person does something to you doesn't mean you have to go back at them. Okay, there's going to be people today, if you deal with enough people, that they're going to be hurt, they're going to be angry, they're going to take it out on you, they're going to be mad, they're going to lash out. Some of them it's their personality style. Some of them it's just, man, that's the only way they know how to do it. Is to blame other people and to point fingers at other people and to be negative. So I'm trying to teach you this because when something doesn't go your way today, and there's a good likelihood someone will not respond the way you want them to. Somebody will do something. That's a stimulus. Between that stimulus and your response to that stimulus is a space, and in that space lies your ability to choose your response. So what I'm trying to tell you is you don't have to respond. You don't have to let a negative get you down for the day. You don't have to let one comment tear you down. You don't have to let one thing keep you from going to the next level. You don't have to let one failure keep you from fighting through. You don't have to. Good morning, Istanbul. I don't know how to pronounce your name. That's my best shot though. Right? Between stimulus and response is a space. Now, you could get offended. Got my buddy Dr. Kevin Elko coming to the lodge on Wednesday. He talks about how everybody's offended by something. We're offended because somebody says to us. We're offended because somebody doesn't do something we want them to do. We're offended because we didn't get enough time and attention. We're offended because, right? See, what people are doing between stimulus and response is they're closing that gap, and they're not thinking. So they're letting their emotions tell them how to respond. Okay? Now, you say, well, why is this a big deal, Coach? Because if you're trying to be a big-time person, man, you can't be so emotional and offended by everything. Okay? You got to fight through your feelings. And you got to just keep trucking along between stimulus and response. So I want you to remember this statement today. Between what happens to me and my response to what happens to me is a space. And in that space lies the greatest human freedom I've ever been given, which is the freedom and power to choose how I respond. When I have a thought, okay, I will think that thought through, and then I will take an action. Okay, I don't have a thought, and then I don't not have a thought and then take an action, because that's where we get ourselves in trouble, folks. We act out emotionally. Okay, Don Hoff. So my 9-year-old daughter came to me yesterday, and she said, Coach, she said, Daddy, I want to be pushed. Like I want to be pushed, like a coach pushes you. And you're a coach, and I want you to push me. And I thought, man, this is awesome. She's coming to her own conclusion that a good coach can push you to do things you don't want to do. Right? That's a thought. Now, I said, okay, I'm going to be home at 6 a.m. in the morning. Let's get up and let's do a 10 to 15 minute workout to get your blood flowing, to get you up and get you going, getting in the routine of just getting up when you don't feel like it, right? That's really what we're doing here. We're getting up when we don't feel like it. We're not listening to our feelings. We're acting our way into feeling versus feeling our way into acting, right? Like I'm trying to teach her this. So I'm about to go home and see if she can translate her thought, her mission, to her moment. And the moment's going to tell you a lot of other things. The moment's going to tell you somebody acts out towards you, you act out toward them. The moment's going to tell you when something don't go your way today, to whine, to pout, complain, to blame somebody else. Your feelings are going to tell you between stimulus and response to be a victim. I'm offended by everything. I'm offended by what you said to me. You got to get to the point where you're not offended. Right, Katie? You got to get to the point where you act your way into your feelings. You don't feel your way into acting. Okay? And that's really when you cross over to being a big-time person. I mean, and do know this, when you do try to help a lot of people, some of them are going to get their feelings hurt. Some of them are going to lash out. Some of them are going to be ugly. Some of them are going to hurt, so they're going to try to hurt you. I mean, it's just human nature, man. Study human nature and see how people respond to people. I talk about this in my new book. Why do good people turn bad? Why do people start and quit? Why do people love you one day and hate you the next day? Right? At the end of the day, you could sum it all up, and it's just human nature, man. We're humans with feelings, and when our lives are governed by our feelings and our emotions, we tend to make bad decisions. Okay? So, best advice I can give you today, man. 2 things on stimulus and response. This comes from Covey, which comes from Viktor Frankl. Viktor Frankl was in a Nazi prison camp, and he basically called it the last human freedom. What's up, Kevin Jones? He called it the last human freedom. The freedom and power to choose how you respond to what life throws at you. And he basically said, you can do whatever you want to me, but you can't take away this one last freedom. Now, broader scope between thinking and doing, close the gap. Between acting and feeling, act your way into feeling like doing it. Don't feel your way into acting, because if you do, here's the deal. You ain't never gonna feel like it. The last thing I felt like doing this morning was getting up and going to work out at 5 a.m. in the morning. Why? I've been on the road. I've been in different time zones. So easy to basically wake up and go, gosh, man, I'm out of a rhythm and routine. Why don't you just roll back over, go back to bed, coach? That's what my feelings were telling me to do. Okay, practice that Mel Robbins rule, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Boom. Actually works, by the way. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, I'm up. Backtrack, and then let's roll. Okay, I'm Coach Micheal Burt at 6:07. I got Dr. Kevin Elko, Nick Saban's coach, coming in. And I'm going to ask him, how does Saban handle losing? How does he handle when things don't go the way he wants them to? How does he handle, right? How does Saban handle these things when they don't go the way he wants them to? Between stimulus and response is that space. How does a guy like Saban handle that? Okay, so these are some things we're going to be talking about on Wednesday at the Lodge. If you hadn't got your tickets, I would really encourage you, man. You can watch it virtually. When you get a chance to be coached, we're going to get into nitty-gritty goals. We're going to get into how do big-time people think. We're going to get into how do top performers. So I'm bringing Dr. Kevin Elko to my lodge. He and I are having dinner on Tuesday night. I'm bringing him to my lodge on Wednesday. It's $297 to get the virtual summit, $497 to be in the room, to be coached by one of the top performance psychologists in the world, man. I don't know what to tell you. If you're serious about playing at the next level and whipping your feelings versus your feelings whipping you,